This story comes from Reddit, under the Reddit Paranormal sub. The user is Dizzy3K. This is my first post here, my first time visiting the sub, and I know people will be skeptical of this. That's fine. Regardless, this happened to me. For reasons I'll get to later, I suddenly felt the need to search for some answers. Okay, so the 31st of this month, Halloween Day, had a landmark meaning to me. This year will be 2 years to the day since this has happened. In 2016, my grandfather, who may as well have been my father, had passed away. He lived in a small house which I had shared for a few years, not too long before his passing, in the small town I live in the south of Ireland. His passing was quite devastating to myself and my family. For that reason, childhood memories and connections to the house had made it quite difficult for us to visit his house. Fast forward to Halloween 2 years ago, and the Hoover we use at home had broke. We don't exactly have the money to buy new things at the drop of a hat, so my mother said she was thinking of going to my grandfather's house to get one there. To spare the emotional journey into the house, I volunteered to go, and asked for a longtime friend of mine who knew the house to accompany me. We arrive at the house about midday, maybe about 2 p.m. We go inside. Nothing's out of the ordinary, just silent and hollow, with a void where my granddad used to be. My friend, who I'll call H, had known me since we were in the 6th grade, about 8 years ago. He used to come over all the time, for many years. He knew the house and my family inside and out. We walked around the house in a sort of nostalgic silence, speaking occasionally about memories we had shared there years before as we had looked around. Eventually, we made it to the back door of the house, and out to the garden where a trampoline and a wooden shed where we used to play still stood, containing old things from the past. And this is where the main event of the day came. Having finished going and looking around, we turned to go inside. As I locked the shed door and at the garden gate, me and H had heard a phone ringing. I didn't think anything of it, as I had seen the next door neighbor's back door open only a few minutes before, and I assumed it was theirs. That is, until H called my name, and I turned to look at him. He was standing there at the back door of the house. I was about 5 meters further away, and he stared at me blankly and said, "The phone." I said, "Yeah? It's the neighbor's." And he replied, "No, it's inside the house," before swiftly turning and walking inside. I was confused. I followed him quickly. Now the layout of the house from front to back is this. You enter the back door, and you're in a small, maybe 1 by 1 meter square porch. From there, a door leads into the kitchen, which takes up the back half of the ground floor of the house. It connects directly to a much smaller sitting room. When I entered the kitchen, I stood and looked at H, standing beside my grandfather's chair where he had sat every day for as long as I could remember. Next to the chair was a small wooden table with a landline sitting on it, and it was ringing. Me and H just looked at each other shocked, as the phone line had been disconnected for more than 2 years, and the electricity was disconnected, meaning there was no lights, no nothing. H had picked up the phone and answered, repeating, "Hello? Hello?" a few times before saying there's no one there, and holding the phone out for me to come over and take it from him. I did. I spoke. "Hello? Hello?" a few times. "Is there anyone there?" But I was not greeted with any response. All I could hear was a slight static and the tone you would know if you ever picked up a wired landline. The one where you hear when you pick it up and listen before dialing any numbers. After a few moments, I hung up the phone and left it for a short while, and I picked it up again, hearing the same tone, slight static, and nothing else. I picked it up and put it down maybe 6 or 7 times before leaving it, after realizing that the phone line was not only disconnected, but also was unplugged from the wall. Me and H decided to try to call the phone from his mobile, but it didn't ring. Instead, we got the tone that indicates an invalid number. We tried again a few times to no avail, and then we tried to call both of our mobiles from the house phone. After dialing the numbers, neither of our phones rang, nor did the phone sounds indicate it had dialed, or that it was ringing. A few more minutes had passed, and we were sitting down wondering what was going on, so I picked up the phone again, and all the noises had gone. As many times as I picked it up again, it never came back. This was very confusing and emotional for me. I'd consider myself a bit of a soft touch. My friend would be a much hardier type. It takes a lot for him to get upset. We both sat there in tears, wondering, was this some kind of sign from my granddad or something? It's been 2 years, and on occasion, I've been back to the house, and each time I pick up the phone, I hear the usual dead silence. Today, I was watching a video on YouTube called That Chapter. They make videos about criminal cases, murders, etc. When Autoplay put this video, the title on, which is 5 True Horrifying Police and EMT Stories. It isn't the usual type of content from him that I watch, but it was interesting, so I left it on. At about the 18-minute mark, he speaks about a somewhat similar phenomenon, which is different, but prompted me to start thinking. Watch the last 1 minute of the video, and you'll see what I mean. As I said, I'm new here to this paranormal sub, but I'm pleading to anyone who knows of someone or has personally experienced anything like this who can give me information as to what went on, please. So if you have any, similar experience with this user, Dizzy3K, go ahead and drop it down in the comments. Maybe they'll check this out and see it. But, that's absolutely crazy and definitely a scary experience. And, I know if it was me and I was walking into the house and I'd seen the phone was unplugged and I knew it was, there was no power or anything, I don't think I'd be picking up that phone. That's all for today, guys. Catch us on the next video. Please like and subscribe, and y'all have a great day. Appreciate you for listening.